To determine what the supply of future FPMRS applicants would be in the country, I needed the name and then the NPI number for every U.S. OBGYN resident. After requesting this data from a variety of alphabet soup organizations, ACGME, ABOG, and ACOG, I was unsuccessful. I created an OBGYN research elective, but understandably no one wanted to scrape data for weeks on end. And in the end, we crowdsourced the data collection with MTurk. To get the names of OBGYN residents, we had one Turker go to each residency page and find the Meet Our Resident page, where there were pictures and names, similar to what's here at USC. Then we fed that information with the website to a second set of Turkers who transcribed the names and medical school of each person for that one residency. We paid $1 per task, and the task took 5 minutes on average. It's quite important to us as the researcher as well as to the IRB that we are making the task pay at least minimum wage. Of note, Amazon takes 20%, so we need to make sure we're paying 120% to the Turker. I don't know any HTML code, but there are templates that help you create the page that the Turker completes. And you can see that the task of gathering over 4,000 OBGYN resident names required only 48 hours. Over 400 Turkers worked on the project over the 48 hours, and each task was completed by 2 separate Turkers for a double entry system, and then by me as a final check at the end. The data was invaluable at making our projections who the next FPMRS fellows would be. We then used Amazon Mechanical Turk as a panel of respondents for one of our surveys and had great luck with it as well. One of our residents, Alyssa Hamlin, and myself created a cross-sectional survey regarding underwear preferences and infectious history, and it was designed and distributed via crowdsourcing with Mechanical Turk. We had over 1,000 U.S. premenopausal women complete the study in 48 hours on MTurk, and we paid $1 per study. This would have taken weeks in the waiting room of our OBGYN clinics to distribute and then transcribe the surveys. So in short, for me, MTurk and crowdsourcing has been a force multiplier, as I have minimal research infrastructure at my county hospital. These are people on the other end of the task, though, and I'm clear with my instructions, the amount of time that it's supposed to take, and pay them appropriately. Hopefully, you can use Mechanical Turk in your next data gathering project. So these are some of our best practices or tips on getting started. The first tip is to break your problem into small, discrete tasks so that the worker has to do one thing. Workers are very diligent the majority of the time, but you need a clear call to action. As, yes, please copy the names of the residents into this text box. Something that would not work as well is find the Meet Our Residents page for a general OBGYN residency and then copy the names of the residents. We find the most success with making 2 separate tasks out of that and then providing the worker with the clearest, most basic instructions. The next important thing is to complete the tasks yourself with real live data. And this is very important as we want to work out all the bugs, and sometimes I can't see the forest through the trees, and so having a coworker or maybe a resident or maybe a medical student or maybe my assistant read through the instructions and tell me, is this clear or not? The last tip is to listen to the Turkers. These are people too at the other end of this neat tool where you can use artificial intelligence, but the fact is that these people are working very hard, and sometimes they have good days and sometimes they have bad days, and when you're able to take their feedback, hey, these instructions aren't clear. Hey, I think you should pay us more. Hey, I think that you should give us more time to do this. Listen.